Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. These books are sources for helping one broaden one's understanding about things. I have a long ways to go, and these are helpful introductions. And I couldn't help but feel that there were certain people whose name appeared a number of times. It would be nice to do something on some of those people. And one of them is Mary Anning. Mary Anning was born in 1799. In 1803, Jefferson, over in the New World, sent off Lewis and Clark expedition. For Mary Anning, she needed no more than to go out the front door of their place and start to explore on the rocks of where her home was located, a small village on the south coast, Lyme Regis it was called, and became quite fashionable for people from London to make the trip down there and take in the waters, so to speak. But for Mary, her family was poor. Her father was a carpenter, a skilled carpenter, and when he got commissions to make things, he was great at it. He was also a collector of fossils. The cliffs there, especially after heavy wind and rainstorms, would sort of shed off some of the soil, and rocks fall and things would be exposed, and they would go out, they being her father, Mary, and her brother. And there had been several children in the family who had died young, diseases, like smallpox, like even things involving maybe water and illnesses which dehydrated and killed young people. It was not easy. A lot of things weren't in place to try to help. So she mentioned here, and here. So I'm going to start with this book, Headstrong, 52 Women Who Changed Science by Rachel Swaby, and just see what Rachel had to say about her. She writes a couple of pages about her. In 1823, Anning discovered a sea dragon. And 5 years later, she delivered a pterodactyl called a flying dragon. Anning's ability to spot specimens, sort them, sketch them, and present them was unparalleled. She studied up on ancient reptiles she found. Anning's moneyed patrons were routinely impressed by her breadth of knowledge. Scientists profited greatly from her work, but because of her class, poor, and gender, female, the academic discussion sparked by her findings always excluded her. So I start to get this picture, from some of the other people who've had a chance to to meet, as in the last one video. When Mary Anning's discoveries appeared in journals, her name was edited out. Anning's patrons arranged for a small stipend to fund her collecting, but the real profit, scientific acclaim, went to others. Well, that paints a pretty grim picture. Let's move up in time a bit, and I wanted to share the next person, and then the rest will be all on Mary. Someone I didn't know about. Ellen Swallow Richards, 1842 to 1911, chemistry, American. Before 1887, water quality standards in Massachusetts did not exist. Modern city-run water treatment plants, those weren't around either. So on the contaminated drinking water roulette wheel, to take a sip of water in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the late 19th century was to consume either industrial waste or municipal sewage. To push the area's drinking water to safer state, Ellen Swallow Richards, I get a little, the middle name there, swallow, I think, of birds, and then it also of swallowing water. An instructor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's newly founded laboratory of sanitary chemistry, supervised the collection and analysis of some 20,000 water samples. Her experimental design both set the standard for similar studies and gave Richards a foundation to make assumptions about both the area's water quality and larger global drinking water conditions. Not a bad contribution from the first woman in the United States to be both a professional chemist and a woman at the same time. So, she's opened the door a bit. Actually, Richards entered MIT in 1870. Now, 1870 would have made her 28. She earned both a bachelor's and master's degree at Vassar, and then a second bachelor's degree in chemistry from MIT. So she must have finished up her work at Vassar and then approached admission into MIT. But when she started work on her PhD, MIT put this kibosh to her progress. The university simply wasn't ready to bestow the honor on a woman. Richards later wrote letters for women in terms of correspondence courses that the society to encourage studies at home were developing. She would teach distant pupils science, but her advice was soon requested for a myriad of problems. Conditions at home were bleak. In their letters, women said they were overworked, and ill health was a common theme. So she went about enacting things that take place in the home, science-based things, preparing balanced diets, preparing healthy foods, exercising regularly, maybe change in not wearing corsets, which were still in fashion. She branched out and developed kitchen programs for public education where food would be served for school children. sometimes breakfast and lunch. She was published books and gave speeches. In 1908, the American Home Economics Association was founded with Richards as its president. And home economics became a major conduit to bringing women into science at the university level. Well, there's 4 pages in here that introduced me to a new person and a dilemma. So I'm thankful for reading about this. Now, let's look at the next book and see what is said here by Rachel Ignotovsky. Well, it's the same thing. This is about Mary Anning having her struggles. Despite her scientific accomplishments, she's not allowed to publish because she was a woman. Not allowed to publish. See, I didn't realize that she wasn't allowed to publish. I think, well, she going to school was not easy either, and I don't know that what her skill level was. I think she's better talking probably, and oh, well, I don't know. So talks about the same problems. Her name was edited out or never included to begin with. Doctors and geologists respected her ideas and used her findings in their own work. That will be evident in other things to look at in the next video. Forgotten Women. This is a series, and there's a number of volumes in it with different subtitles. This one's The Scientist, so I got it from the library. Zing, St. Tijing. She died at 48. Museums and public galleries honor the discovery. The honor of discovery didn't go to the actual discoverer. It went to the rich gentleman who bought and donated the specimen. So not particularly anything all that new. I learned about her from picture books initially. Dragon on the Rocks. Marie Day wrote and illustrated the book, and there's the village. It became a watering place. People would come there on holiday from London. Mary Anning and the Sea Dragon by Michael Dooling's artwork, and it's by Janine Atkins. Mary's Monster by Ruth Van Ness Blair. Illustrations by Richard Kafari. I know his illustrations from many other books, and I really like his illustrations. And there's more to this book. There's more type in terms of the story and all. And I noticed I had a clipping in here. This is Old Bones, New Ideas Thrill Dinosaur Buffs. And from the Calgary Herald. Well, been a lot of bone collecting in Alberta over the years. And that obviously could be a channel someone might go off into, looking at various dinosaur bones and things collected in Alberta. the Bone Wars that went on. I'll share some other books at some point, hopefully. The crocodile, referring to that sea crocodile dinosaur. John Tully. This is a longer book, and I discovered a clipping in it too. I didn't discover it at first. The second dinosaur found. This is from London AP. A discovery of almost complete dinosaur skull in southern England has excited scientists. This is August the 4th, 1983. Times column. This is the newspaper here in Victoria. So then this book, in searching for other things about the sea and fossil hunting, and I came across this book, and the library had a copy, and it's The Fossil Hunter by Shelley Emling, and I first discovered Mary Anning a few years ago during a vacation in England's so-called Jurassic coast with my husband and 3 children. My 10-year-old son, Ben, is quite a budding geologist who likes nothing more than to wait for low tide, then scramble out across the shore below vertical, often slumping cliffs, hoping to chance upon an ammonite in grayish stone streaked with quartz. During our brief trip, we paid a visit to the small Lyme Regis Philpott Museum, where tucked away on the 2nd floor was a permanent exhibit designed to preserve the legacy of a woman I'd never heard of, Mary Anning. So, she's made acquaintance, and she wants to know more. And she self-educates herself and writes this book. I haven't read it. I have read little bits and pieces, and every time I open up, I find something interesting, and I just have gotten it, and it seems like a fulsome and interesting story of Mary. And then at the back of this book, she gives a timeline, mentions it, things in Mary's life. Mary died of breast cancer. There's no cure, and there's a couple of things from this book I was going to share. These creatures must have lived long ago, longer than we can imagine. They must have lived in a world we know very little about. The words sent a new thrill down Mary's spine. She knew she could never be an explorer in Africa or South America, but here was a world we know little about on her own doorstep, not a mile along the beach, a world of strange creatures that no one has ever seen. And there's another little passage here. And Mary, I am proud of you. Mrs. Anning put her arm around her shoulder. It shows a brave spirit to make up your mind what you want and to go on trying for it, whatever people say. Some of the people in Lyme Regis were less than supportive. Notes. Now, this is for chapter 1 of 12 chapters. I'm going to try to show them to you somehow. That's the rest of chapter 1. Chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, 10, 11, 12. What I'm suggesting is that Shelley got captured by wanting to find out about this woman who lived many years ago and really scoured literature and sources to find things about this. So there's a biography that for adults. So we've got things for picture books for 8, 9, 10-year-olds, something for 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and something for adults. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.